There's a real new confidence and consciousness in black South Africa. It's what Nelson Mandela wanted.
A rainbow nation at peace with itself and the world.
But at the front edge of fashionable downtown Joburg, it's not working out that way.
In terms of the rainbow nation in South Africa today, we have a long way to go.
In terms of who the rich and who the poor are, it's still white and black.
There's still a lot of hate harbored from apartheid. We are still getting blamed for things that weren't even our idea in the beginning.
At the start of this century, apartheid had fallen. A truth and reconciliation process was almost complete. Nelson Mandela had transferred the reins of power. There was a real sense of hope and confidence in this new rainbow nation. But now, 21 years since it all began, people across South Africa are talking about the end of the rainbow.
South Africa is a cappuccino society, which is a vast, huge black majority at the bottom with cream on top and a few chocolate sprinklings, on the top of it.
She's talking about the new black elite. Only a relatively small amount of wealth has left white hands.
That it's a definite shift from the previous generation that was interested in reconciliation in order to maintain peace in the status quo. I don't think that's as much of a consideration or a desire for young black people anymore.
Panache is from a new middle class. Young people who didn't know apartheid but now want more.
So concepts of blackness, black consciousness, Pan-Africanism, that's something that a lot of us are turning to find ways to mobilize and do something about structures which we feel literally suffocate us because they don't speak to us as black people.
The legacy of apartheid is often blamed, and the remnants aren't hard to spot. There is, though, an increasing realization this country still has a long way to go.
We're facing a second transition in our society. We had one in 1994, and now the game's up. We're going to have a new one. And we've got to see to it that the new one brings more happy people at the end of it. But it's got to be peaceful, and it cannot destroy the economy.
This is how the majority of people still live in South Africa, in townships created by apartheid. Come to any township, whether it be here in Cape Town or Johannesburg or Durban, and you get a sense of why it is people don't feel that really much has changed 21 years since democracy. Yes, there's some power. They've got some toilets here for sharing, but they flood. Houses have been built, but not enough houses. People are still very disappointed, and that disappointment is fast turning to anger. Every week there are new protests in South Africa for jobs, better services, and now against corruption. The inequality of white wealth, but also the government of liberation are now being blamed.
It's corrupt to the core. There's nothing that is functional. Corruption has been institutionalized.
It gives radicals demanding land grabs, wealth redistribution and nationalization both space and support.
We have 35% unemployment rate. We are the most unequal society in the world. We're living with a country where 54% of its population is living in poverty.
Nelson Mandela's A.N.C, even President Jacob Zuma, have been accused of corruption, ignoring the judiciary and not acting in the interests of the poor majority. Is the government of South Africa corrupt?
There is corruption within the government of South Africa, but that doesn't mean that the institution is a corrupt institution. We are unequal. The gap between the rich and the poor in this country is enormous. White South Africans are 6 times richer than they were in 1994. And so a race dynamic does enter, even though we're trying very hard to build a nation that is not based on race, but based on the equality of every citizen in this country.
On the outskirts of Joburg, away from the busy, chaotic, often dangerous urban lifestyle, is Stain City. Parkland Residence, they call it. Built on what used to be an illegal township, it's paradise behind a high wall. It's named after Stain, the man behind this.
I am Alexander, founder of CompareTheMeerkat.com.
Stain was a friend of Nelson Mandela. He built the country's most expensive house. The new Black Consciousness movement is now criticising Mandela for not doing more to tackle white privilege and redistribute the wealth.
The driveway coming in here with 8 garages, butler, chef.
Nicholas runs a mine. Like many of those who can afford to, white but also black, he and his wife are retreating into their kraal.
It's just a layout of what state.
It's a vast project. Within the walls are a hospital, school, shopping mall and private security. It's almost a city-state.
Security is 24/7. You see it, no worries whatsoever. The kids can run around, no problem.
I am very fortunate that I can provide my family this kind of security. It now makes my life easier to actually stay here and contribute to the economy and a lot of other things. And hopefully, by doing that, we can all one day live in a place like this without walls.
A new generation is finding its voice and demanding more. A terrible past is slowly being broken down, but at 21, the Rainbow Nation is not what they hoped it would be. Such huge societal change often comes in waves, sometimes stable, sometimes disruptive. But amid such riches here in South Africa, hopefully in peace.